It is President Trump versus the NFL after hundreds of players took a knee or joined arms yesterday during the national anthem. Now Mr. Trump is calling on fans to boycott the league until players are punished. With me now is Chris Cluey, former NFL player for the Minnesota Vikings. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Were you surprised at this show of solidarity by so many in the NFL on Sunday?
Not really. I mean, actually, I was hoping that even more players would join in, specifically white players, because, you know, if all players are kneeling together and showing that they take this issue seriously, you know, I think it really sends a powerful message. And that's not to say that the message being sent wasn't powerful, because it really was. It's just I would like every player to be kneeling, because we're human beings first, and football players like distant third or fourth.
President Trump said that his comments weren't about race. It was all about patriotism. What do you think?
Adolf Hitler said it wasn't about the Jews either, but we all know how that turned out. So I don't think people need to listen to what President Trump says. I think they need to look and see what his actions are. And his actions have clearly painted him as a white supremacist. I mean, you look at his... So you think the President
of the United States is a white supremacist?
Oh, without a doubt. He's a fascist and a racist, and you can look at the actions that he's done. He has failed to condemn white supremacists multiple times. He has spent the past 3 days tweeting about the NFL while 3.5 million Americans are without electricity in Puerto Rico. We have hospital ships that we could be sending there right now, and I think he just tweeted that they're going to look at options in the next, 2 weeks? So clearly he does not care about people who are not white.
Well, let me ask you the question this way, because I think that, you know, I'm looking for unity in this country. And by calling the president out and out a white supremacist and comparing him to a Nazi, do you think that's inviting the other side to have any conversation at all?
I think we had conversations with Nazis back in the 1940s, and we won that debate. And the world decided that we did not want fascism and we did not want Nazism. So no, I don't think we need to have a debate about fascism. That debate is settled. Human life is human life. It's sacred. You can't say white people get one set of rights and everyone else gets another set of rights. That's not how justice works.
Chris Cluey, thanks for being with me today. I do appreciate it. So let's talk some more about this. Joining me now, Jerry Bader, a conservative radio talk show host, and Wendy Osefo, a liberal commentator and race and culture researcher at Johns Hopkins University. Also with me, the senior pastor at New Spirit Revival Center and Trump supporter, Daryl Scott. Thanks to all of you. Daryl Scott, I'm going to start with you because you heard what Chris Cluey said. Your reaction?
I'm in disagreement with Chris. First of all, Carol, let me say this. I'm a Browns fan as well. And so I heard you say you were one. So we know the agony of defeat very well. But listen, President Trump is an opinionated leader that is not afraid to express his opinion, and a lot of people have a problem with that. And apparently his opinion has resonated with a large segment of American society, because most Americans are in agreement with him. I really think this protest, I mean, they have a right to protest, and we have a right to be in agreement or disagreement with their protest.
Well, let me ask you this, Pastor, because I want you to directly respond to what Chris Cluey said. He said the President of the United States is a white supremacist and a fascist.
Okay, then he's categorically wrong. The President of the United States is and has been my friend. You know, I don't want to have to keep sitting up. He's not a racist. He's not a racist. Last week I was in Washington, D.C., presenting a 14-point urban revitalization plan. I mean, it was thick as a phone book. We have some very proactive initiatives that we are currently tweeting right now, tinkering with. We're fixing them so that when we roll them out, they'll be very beneficial to all of the urban communities. So, you know, he's doing a lot behind the scenes, and if some of these distractions stop, but, you know, they keep on trying to play the race card on him because they don't have anything else to play.
Wendy, do you agree?
No, I do not agree. You know, we have to look at the policies that have been put in place, whether it's the president championing birtherism or the Central Park Five, or saying that there was violence on both sides when Charlottesville happened. You have to look at the concrete facts. And as we're looking at the facts, we also have to know that sports and politics has been intrinsically woven together for generations. We have Muhammad Ali, who did not want to go to a draft. We have Juan Carlos and Tommy Smith putting up their fifth for Black Panther during the 1968 Olympics. And what we see here now with and other NFL players is the exact same thing. And what is getting lost in this conversation is they are not protesting the flag. That is not the issue here. They are protesting the systematic injustice that has happened to black and brown people in this country. And if we're talking about our military people, they did not go to war to fight for a flag. They went to war to fight for what that flag symbolizes, and that's liberty, that's freedom, and that is hope. And all three principles are embodied when we're able to protest.
So Jerry, care to weigh in? Is this about race or patriotism?
You know, listen, I think to a degree it's about both. The president understands that his supporters generally agree with him on this. Carol, you called an earlier guest out on, is it unifying? Here's what I would say. Even if the president believes this is about patriotism and not race, here's what I would say. He had an opportunity yesterday to be over the weekend to be a leader. On Friday, he could have spoken directly to those people who are protesting. If you feel that you have grievances, here's how we deal with them, but let's not disrespect the flag and the president. A lot of supporters believe that's what this is. He had a moment to speak to them. Instead, he spoke to his base that he already knows supports his position. And in my opinion, this was an effort to divide, period.
But that's common for every president to speak to their base and items that they support. President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton, that's politics. You want, when he's politically incorrect.
Yeah, but President Trump used the word son of a bitch. Sons of bitches.
Exactly.
That's
a very
different,
strong
isn't
term.
it, Pastor?
Well, he used a very strong term for a hypothetical player. But no, would I have said that? No, I wouldn't. But, you know, he said it, and that's his use of words, his use of strong language. That's his call.
But just that, don't you think that, Pastor, was kind of divisive?
Well, after all, well, listen, the issue itself is divisive with or without President Trump. That issue was divisive when Obama was still in office. So let's not act like President Trump is the originator of this issue. It's a divisive issue from the very beginning, that there are certain ones that claim that there's systematic racism in America, that blacks, that there's a double standard that exists, and that it's nationwide, which I don't believe it's nationwide. It's not some secret conspiracy of white people that are trying to keep the black race down. I really don't believe that. Let me tell you something. I was not raised by my parents in a hate whitey environment. My father went to work every day. He taught us to go to work, get a job, go to work, and work hard. He didn't blame the white man for whatever we didn't have or whatever he wasn't able to achieve. And so I don't have that mindset.
Carol, I see Wendy's face. Wendy, you weigh in, and then I got to go.
Carol, I have to respond to that. This is not an agenda against hate whitey. We are talking about our justice system. We are talking about, when you look at the numbers, the proportions, that's what we're talking about. And if NFL players who make millions of dollars are sitting there taking a knee for this injustice, both white and black NFL players, there is an issue with our country. It is the greatest sin for our country. And we just have to come together and have this conversation. And it is divisive when the president does not say this is part of freedom of speech, and that is the difference. Obama even said he does not necessarily agree with it, but he agrees with people having the right to protest peacefully, and that is what we're seeing here, and that has to be underscored.
The president has a right to freedom of speech as well. I tell you what, why don't they all go on strike and forfeit their paychecks as a show of solidarity?
Thank you, Carol.
I got to leave it there. Jerry Bader, Wendy Osefo, and Pastor Daryl Scott. Thanks to all of you. On the story coming up in just a few minutes, Erica Hill is here.